You ever had your feelings hurt? Sucks, right? But that's not the worst part of it for some people. The worst part for some people is not being able to deal with the hurt feelings. That can cause a lot of complications for some folks. Because hurt feelings, if they drag on, they can make a person less resilient. That happens when a person can't cope with having hurt feelings. Or more specifically, they don't have a coping process. And resilience is a non-negotiable characteristic for being a good human being. You absolutely have to have a well of resilience to draw upon just to get through this life. And taking a hit to your resilience is going to hurt you more over the course of your life than the original insult hurt your feelings. And it might be in ways that aren't immediately obvious, but it shows up later down the line. And that's not good. But hurt feelings are normal. Everyone gets hurt feelings. Even the people that say that they don't care what anybody thinks about them, actually, especially the people who say that they don't care what anybody thinks about them. Those people tend to get their feelings hurt more by less. But that's a story for another day. Today's story is about dealing with hurt feelings. And I've broken it down into some very general guidelines, some steps, if you will, for after you've received some sort of insult that has hurt your feelings. Step one in this process is you have to take a moment and consider the source. Basically, it comes down to who hurt your feelings. If it's somebody that's close to you, a spouse or a really close friend, that sucks. But if it's some random loser shouting at you from his truck as he drives by, who cares? The key here is that you have to put the source of the insult on a spectrum. And that spectrum should range from intimate, care a lot, to don't know, don't care. Because the closer to the latter they are, the less their insult matters. The less they matter. Once you've put them on that spectrum, step two in this process is to ask, are they right? Because if they're right, it's not so much an insult as an observation. And we should all be able to handle observations about ourselves. There's just a big difference between somebody saying something as an insult versus somebody saying something that is kind of true. If somebody tells me something that hurts my feelings, but it's objectively true, then that's not so much about my feelings as it is about my vanity. And that's on me. Which brings me to step three in this process, which is bring in an objective third party to help you with step 1 and 2. Their feedback is perspective giving, and perspective is always a good thing in these matters. A lot of times when we get our feelings hurt, one of the first things to go is our perspective. And perspective is essential. You have to have it to inform this coping process. And that brings us to step 4 in the process, controlling the narrative, or more precisely, your narrative. You can control your part in the global narrative, and your part in your narrative is all yours. And that's what makes the whole process effective, because you're in control of it. And that's what gets you over hurt feelings for the most part. Controlling the controllables and not getting lost in the weeds. Lost focusing on the things that you absolutely have no control over, and the more control you try to exert on them, the more wasted energy you're going to have. And that wasted energy could have been spent controlling the things that you actually have some control over. That element of control is the majority of what gets you through the process. But a smaller part of the process, probably closer to the tail end of it, is acceptance. Because no matter how robust the process is, it's not going to satisfy you until you can actually accept the outcome of the process. Things like considering the source, considering the insult and if it's accurate, asking for outside perspective if you found that you lost yours, controlling the narrative, or at least the part you play in the narrative, and just focusing on the controllables of your circumstances after the insult has been received. Well, what you find is that every one of those steps in the process is so empowering that the insult stops having any power over you. And like any hurt, feelings or otherwise, it helps to trust in the process to get you through it.